Triple starter theme teams are always a blast to run in the Go Battle League. Something about climbing through the ranks with mons you've played in the main series games seemingly always brings a subtle smile to our cold, immovable faces. And today's video, as the thumbnail implies, is no different. Today we're taking a look at 3 of the starters from my favorites list. Check this video out for more details for my goals this season. But without further delay, kick back, relax, and let me hit play. And as the movesets imply, all 3 starters do require the legacy moves in Frenzy Plant, Hydro Cannon, and Blast Burn. I did try to select the battles where I saw most meta mons showcased, just to get you a kind of feel for the team. And overall, we did go positive. We climbed over 100 points with this team, which was really fun to run. And sadly, I couldn't do triple shadows because I did need a little bit of bulk on this squad. So Venu in the front this time, not in the back. Check out this video if you don't know what I'm talking about. Had to be a non-shadow, and it actually did really surprisingly well. You can just about frenzy, double KO anything with Frenzy Plant that's not named Corviknight or Skarmory if you happen to run into one. But here in this first battle, we're seemingly core breaking the opponent's team. I tanked a move on Venusaur and then I save swapped Charizard, which I do not recommend. Usually you want to save swap for Alligator, but I figured maybe they wouldn't be a Mad Lad running Bastiodon in the back, although to be fair, they probably could have since they had a hard response to ground type in the lead. They do have a steel type, but the steel type is named Corviknight, Corva Fraud, if you will. I do not like this Pokemon. I think that PvPoke rates it a lot higher than it should be. It just never hits as hard as you want it to. Sadly for me, it is gonna pretty much farm down my Venu. It's like the one mon it has play into. And my opponent has farmed up a boatload of energy, but we are all down shields. I can't bring in Charizard because I would be gone off rip with 1 payback. So I'm hoping that my opponent gets greedy here because I'm at the Frenzy, or not the Frenzy, the Hydro, and I'm able to KO them with whatever energy they did have stored. I don't know why they chose not to throw the payback. Maybe they didn't have it. And here we're gonna win CMP on the Aurorus's Weather Ball. So rip to Cayenne if you're watching. I'm sorry to let your dino go like that. I did keep that video in just because I did know that you're a fan of Aurorus. All right, next up is Clodsire. It's fairly ranked high on PvPoke, and it's not the most threatening mon. This is another reason why I didn't want to rock the Shadow on Venu. I can tank, and I use the word tank very loosely. A Earthquake from Clodsire. There you see me pause a turn just to ensure that this Frenzy would land on Clodsire, because it does take about 2 to KO, and I'm going to try to CMP on their next move. But I wasn't sure what the count was to the next Sludge Bomb. I thought I could do 1 more and then CMP. Clearly I could not. And my opponent does me a solid by swapping into Blastoise, which means I can throw 6 and then the crunch, which would be on proper timing since they were a turn behind. So instead of it being 12 turns, it would be 13 turns before they reach their Hydro. Here I'm pretty sure they're going to bait, but I kind of need to shield something. I can let the next one go. I'm like starting to see that it's the non-shadow Blastoise, and I'm likely going to be able to farm this thing down and then threaten whatever's in the back down energy. So we do manage to get the full farm down, which is great. They're likely going to bring back in the Clodsire. They do. I can't really afford to farm up any more energy. I'm pretty much capped at 100. I'm just hoping that I have some play in the back, and I did until this moment. I thought for sure they would come in with something that would just snipe me. And so instead of doing what I was supposed to do, which is 1 Shadow Claw and then throw the move once I see what comes in, I kind of panicked and figured Hydro would do more regardless of what they brought in. Clearly I was wrong. And now because of that, you're going to see that 1 Shadow Claw that I didn't get from throwing on proper timing is going to come back and bite me. Here we CMP, which is great. My opponent probably could have overfarmed, but they didn't. We get the unnecessary boost right when we don't need it, which is always when it happens. Seemingly always happens. And here you're going to see me have to do 4 Shadow Claws and then reach the Hydro, which we die because we don't get DRE. Had I done 1 and then the move, I would have had that Hydro before going, and we could have taken that game. Here we see a massive core breaker in Confusion Cresselia, which I was not expecting because I took so long to swap out. They're going to outpace. Regardless, I was going to keep farming up energy, and they force my shield and then come in with Torterra, which is not a response to for Alligator up this much energy. However, they are likely going to be able to just 1 shield farm down, and I pulled a shield, which is great, and that's about as good as I can make it here. The opponent is pretty weak to Charizard, even though those Confusions are going to chunk. And here what I'm thinking is I'm going to rely on a shielded Charizard because I feel like it's going to do Shadow Charizard things. We are rocking Dragon Breath on this Charizard. One, because I felt like I needed some coverage against dragons, which we're incredibly weak to with the other two Mons, especially Venu. Once we tanked both movesets from the Torterra, I was able to safely swap in Charizard. And here I make a slight mistake. I wasn't sure, and I'm still not sure, honestly, how much damage a Blast Burn would do, but I figured that at 50%, it should at least do 50% of Cress's health. Cress is incredibly bulky. Luckily, we do get the KO. I did have to invest a shield. If they bring back in the Torterra, I know they're like 2 away from their next Sandtomb, which I do not want to take, and I just need to be able to outpace something to a strong move. And luckily for me, it is a Shadow Scizor about to go kaput, and this is an absolutely beautiful GG's. I love the way I played this game. I don't know if I could have played it better. That said, I am really fed up with all of these hard-hitting RPS lines, such as the previous line. They had a Confusion user. Could have been worse if it was a Shadow Cresselia. They had a Mudslapper, as this one does in Pseudo Nidoqueen mud type, ground type. I elect to take the move. I wasn't sure what energy they were at when I threw the... I did bait. I threw the Sludge, and a terrific bait on my part. If I do say so myself, I kind of needed it to. If they had let that go, I likely would have just stopped left it. I am going to do 3 more Shadow Claws or 4 more Shadow Claws and then throw the move to try and optimize as much energy. And if they shielded, I was likely going to let this go. But my opponent chooses to keep their shield. We do manage to make it to the Crunch. I am rocking Crunch because I feel like it offers me more coverage, especially in the elo where I was at. I don't know if Ice Beam is the play. You can try both. I didn't really want to invest more Elite TMs. Here we make a sort of nice catch, bringing in the Charizard. Regardless, the opponent was going to have to throw Icy Wind, but I didn't want to take the super effective Pex on Venu, and God forbid they farm down. Here I'm going to farm up to just shy of when they reach their energy for the next charge move, and then just hope the Charizard can do things at shield parity, which we seemingly can. I don't throw an alignment like a bozo, which is great, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it to the Blast Burn before they reach back-to-back Weather Balls. I'm seeing that I probably won't be able to, and I'm hoping that this Air Cutter does enough to take them out. And because they're Shadow and Abomasnow is pretty glassy, we are able to take that game. GG's. Somebody made an Avalog vid, because this is like the 2nd or 3rd one I ran in these sets that I faced. Luckily for me, they're pretty soft to a Feraligatr safe swap. And in comes Marowak, another Mudslap user. I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting kind of tired of these guys. But luckily, we are going to be able to force both shields if my opponent elects to farm down, which is likely what they're going to do, because Mudslappers are an infuriating breed. Unfortunately, I don't have enough bulk to get to the next Hydro Cannon. I don't know what happened there. My opponent was either lagging or just like contemplating life, contemplating their decisions of running a Mudslapper. Regardless, I was going to tank both these moves, but now that I have the Sludge Bomb, I can just full send the Sludge Bomb, hope that it KOs, which it does at that health range. And regardless, I would have had a 2-shielded Charizard in the back, and maybe a slight, maybe a 3rd shield in Venusaur. I hate to do my boy like that, but it sort of needed to be done. Here my opponent makes a beautiful catch onto a very glassy Mon that did have play, I think. They managed to get a couple of Shadow Claws in, and they're not going to get to the back-to-back. I just need to make it to a Blast Burn, which we do. So the end game would have been about the same. I would have swapped into Charizard as soon as they full sent or dumped all their energy on the Marowak, and we would have taken that game. GG's. There you see the timer a little bit delayed because I forgot to record, so we start off pretty late. Cradilly is a menace. Cradilly is top meta for a reason. I was unaware until this game that Cradilly can full send a Rock Tomb and then basically farm you down. Tank the next Frenzy, so I was like, I'm not going to let that happen. They invested a shield. Their Primate was not going to be able to get to the close combat before I reached my Hydro Cannon, and for some reason they just sacked their entire Primate. I guess they didn't want to go down 2 shields. I likely would have had Charizard for whatever was in the back. I'm still going to outpace to the next Rock Tomb or Grass Knot if they decide to throw the Grass Knot. And I think at this point, actually no, I think because they shielded twice, I'm noticing that they might be weak to Gator in the back, and I'll likely be able to get out of this and hopefully make a catch onto Venu. This is like the easiest catch to see coming, but again, in the elo that I'm playing at, not a lot of players will like perceive that. So my opponent doesn't even undercharge. They full send the Rock Tomb, and now I have half a Gator with a lot of energy, and in comes Clodsire, and this is GG's. all I need to do is either overfarm against this Clodsire, since the Poison Stings don't do that much damage. I overfarm a little bit. I probably could have tanked the move or used up the shield, because the Hydro KOs the Cradilly from the health it's at. But as you can see, those acids do a lot more. So maybe I could have overfarmed by 1. Again, I was scarred by the Clodsire from the previous game that had Sludge Bomb. This one seemingly had Stone Edge, so I just didn't want to take that chance. Florges is a beautiful lead. I hate the team that comes behind it. Okay, they don't do it off rip. Florges is going to CMP. This is a very, very dangerous CMP tie to do. Because if they catch that Sludge on something that like triple resisted, double resisted, and it's just such a bad place to be. Because they let that go, I'm feeling confident that I can, 1, farm them down, and 2, that they won't have a super response to Feraligatr, which they don't. In comes Toedscruel, and Toedscruel can't exactly tank this. It'll do like a sizable chunk of their health. They do invest a shield, and I want to throw on proper timing, so I don't throw on a CMP, a potential CMP tie, which I would have won anyway. But just, you don't want to give your opponent any free energy. That's your lose con. I've had such a strong lead. I don't want to give up that advantage. Once they stay in, I was hoping that I'd be able to farm this thing down. They are unfortunately at the next wrap, but I don't want to invest a shield just in case they have a freaking Bastion on or something. They come in with a Dragon Breath Giratina, and so this is my strongest hitting move. I'm just going to full send the Blast Burn. They know I have a Venu, so they do invest a shield. But I still have a pretty healthy Feraligatr, and based off their counts and based off me having Crunch, I know that I can make it. And I know that even if they did send the move, I could invest a shield and get this Crunch off before they KO'd me. All they have is the Toedscruel in the back, and we managed to take that game. This was a Gastrodon lead again. I was a little bit dumb and slow to the recording. So they safe swap a Corsola, and I don't know if I necessarily recommend this play. Again, I have Crunch for a reason, and it would have been super easy to bring in Gator to not misalign the switch timers. But I'm hoping, or my hope is, that I'll be able to CMP tie with their next Nightshade and KO through the shield. I'm not sure if this is 1 HP in a dream, and unfortunately for me, it's not. So we do get shield parity, but now I'm down a shield because I got to invest the next shield in order to keep all this energy. And I am hoping that they bring back in the Gastro, because it doesn't exactly want to tank all this damage. It does have a sizable amount of energy, so I'm going to try to catch the next Body Slam, because I feel like Gator will have more play once the Gastro's out of the way. And it does, but now I'm sweating a bit. 1, I throw an alignment like an absolute bozo. And then 2, I'm seeing a rollout user, and I have a very glassy Charizard in the back. And I don't know what to do. So I'm going to make an absolutely dangerous play. I'm going to try to catch a Drill Run on Charizard. I feel like that's my only play, given that I'm at the move. And I don't know if my opponent waited, or if they were just spamming that move. And I did manage to catch the Drill Run, thankfully. And I know that they're going to likely try to catch. Their Gastrodon is dry. They're still 1 away from the move, I think. But I full send the Blast Burn because I know I have the Hydro loaded. And I know I win CMP. And as long as my game doesn't cuck me, which it loves to do, I should have this game. GG's. I don't know if that was the play. I don't know if I should have given up swap like that. I obviously had a very poor matchup in the back, but I would have had a lot of energy or health on Venu, and likely still would have had the same outcome. But I messed that up. Here, my game tries to cuck me, as it loves to do. You saw me click the move. I saw me click the move. In the moment, Feraligatr probably felt me click the move. But the game didn't register, and so now I have to invest a shield. Had I not invested that shield, I likely would have let Gator go, because I would have gotten a shield from them. I can CMP here, my CMP tie here. My opponent is smart now. Now they know that they can't fall for that CMP tie, so they invest a shield. But I have both their shields. I am totally okay giving Charizard some leg up and just sacking Venu. I will get a Frenzy off on them unless they make a dumb play. Force your opponent to make the suboptimal play. And here they did. If they had Ice Punch, it doesn't KO. I just throw 1 before their next Rage Fist in this instance. I probably could have tanked it, but some health on Venu is probably good health. And their timer is slightly misaligned, and now I just need to keep farming. That Stunfisk has maybe 1 or 2 residual energy. 102 residual Thunder Shocks worth of energy. And Corviknight baits me. I wasn't actually sure. I've lost track of energy, which seems to be a theme on this channel. So I wasn't sure if they were at the payback. If they weren't, then good on them. And here, I think my opponent misplays. I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure if I tank a payback from that health. Dragonite does, so I want to say that Charizard might. You see my opponent force quit the app because they lost track of energy. Maybe they thought I was trying to get fancy, but we managed to take that game from one of the worst possible leads to see. And again, another Avalugg. Somebody made a video. I just don't know who, but I'm gonna find out. But as I've noticed with these lines, Gator seems to core break the line. It seems to be a water type in the back, I guess, for the potential fire types, like the fire type leads that Avalugg would be weak to, and then the ghost type in the back for potential fighters. And I am gonna lose this mid-game matchup, but I'll likely get at least a shield advantage. And if my opponent decides to shield, given the health, the amount of health that they have, I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna retain switch, because I do not want to have that Avalugg aligned onto my Venu. They come in, I think they got denied. I'm not entirely sure if that would have made a massive difference, but I don't want to let them get this farm down because I know that they can. They come in with Corsola. I have no shields to my name. I just need to full send this Blast Burn. It likely won't KO, but if my opponent gets greedy, which I think they do, I think honestly what happened was that they didn't want to give their Avalugg farm, which is why you see me no bubble this in the beginning. But I think I'm good with that. I'm good with getting this thing into a health range. They notice that they have to throw energy before I get to my air cutter. And I think that as long as I'm able to get to a move on Venu, I lost track of their energy. Again, the theme of this channel. I do manage to catch what I think is an avalanche. It is an avalanche. My opponent undercharges. That's not going to save them. And we do manage to get to the frenzy. I'm not entirely sure if a sludge would have been enough from that health. Maybe. But, you know, just go for the frenzy because it secures the KO. And hopefully that's the last Avalugg we see. Marowak leads are not as great as you would think. This should be a positive lead. But these Mudslappers are so damn oppressive. Do not throw an alignment. And I honestly would recommend sludging. Because even if you land the sludge, you can invest a shield and probably farm down. Is my copium. And here I make the play that I prefer for this scenario. I let Venu go and force your opponent to make the suboptimal play. They bring in Bastiodon. Had this shit been aligned to my Charizard, I would have been cooked off rip. But luckily for me, they made the suboptimal play and I'm able to capitalize on that. Here you're going to see me do something in a few Shadow Claws. I try to undercharge a little, but I think I undercharged a little too much. I forget if it was this play. Yeah, it's a little too much because that's a really healthy Bastiodon. This is a really good IV Bastiodon. I had faced another opponent where they had a much worse Bastiodon, so the Hydro did a lot more damage, so hence my terrible undercharge. And here, because they let that Hydro go, even though I had the crunch, or I could have gotten off the crunch, I'm noticing that I can just farm them down before they reach their next Hydro. The Bastiodon's likely going to come in and get a couple smackdowns. Look how much this does to my boy. Oh no, they come in with the Marowak. I think they're one away from the Rock Slide, but they have the Bone Club. If I was my opponent, I would have went for the Bone Club to secure that damage, because you're going to see this Bastiodon be able to get me pretty low, and you're going to see me do the suboptimal play and panic in order to get out of there. But I do manage to get them whittled down to like just breaths of health. But look at those smackdowns go. My boy would not have survived. I left this battle in because who the hell runs Dartrix? Excuse me. I save swap Gator, which isn't a response, but because they're on Peck, I figured, okay, that's probably as best a scenario I'm going to get out of this. I can't come into my hard response. Even Charizard with Dragon Breath doesn't do terribly against Florges, but I'd rather not see it against the Florges. My opponent shields the first move, which leads me to believe that they're going to go for a Chilling Water. I didn't care regardless. If they went for the Trailblaze, great. I was kind of hoping that it would KO. Unfortunately, it didn't. But here I'm just going to overfarm energy and likely CMP on their next move. If they caught this Sludge on the Dartrix, great, because that's kind of where I need to throw it. And I am going to try to throw a debuffed Sludge, even though it's not the optimal play, because I'm not sure what's in the back. And I need to get rid of this dangerously looking bird. This owl-like bird. Owls are birds. Yes, this is a fact. And here, I need to go for the Blast Burn. I do CMP tie with them, which I thought I would do. I knew I would win it. And they let that move go, and now I see my win con. I need to farm this thing all the way down the shitty pot down. And my opponent, I don't know if they undercharged or if that's how much a discharge does. Discharge is a pathetic move, sadly, for Stunfisk. And here I need to shield something, I think. Yeah, those Pecks would do way too much damage, and you're going to see this come up. This is going to get too close, way too close for comfort in the end game. My opponent maybe does me a favor by throwing energy, but I need to build up to the back-to-back sludges, because there is no chance in hell that I am farming this thing down. I think if my opponent commits to a farm down, I think they have this. Actually, no. One more. Actually, yeah, maybe. I'm not entirely sure, but I think they might have had me if they committed to a farm down. Because they would have had one more Peck's worth of damage. Maybe? What the hell is this thing doing here? BBL Elibolt is in the lead, and unfortunately for me, I do not learn from my mistakes. I go for the harder hitting move, knowing that this bouncy thing is going to shield the first move. Why am I like this? Why do I like damage? This is such a horribly played game. Luckily for me, they are on Parabolic Charge. I'm going to try to CMP on the next one, but unfortunately I don't get it. And then I'm going to make another mistake and stay in, because I think I can at least make it to a sludge, which I likely could have. I did not. I did not make it. And now I have to contend with a Belly Bolt with near 100 energy. Luckily for me, this next Shadow Claw does KO. No, it does not. But they were away from the... Again, I lost track of energy. I didn't know where they were. And now in comes a Fearow. I lose CMP with both of my back mons against Fearow. So I need to hope this lands. It does not. My opponent overfarms energy. They could have played to a CMP tie, which they win. And I don't think I survive a Drill Peck. I need to get this move off immediately and come in with Shadow Charizard and hope that the Dragon Breath this thing down. I think it's close, but they make it. And I'm like, damn, I do not survive a Drill Peck. It better be a freaking Pidgey in the back or I am kaput. Luckily for me, it is a pseudo Pidgey. I do as much damage as I can with these Dragon Breaths before full sending the Air Cutter. If I got into the Blast Burn, I would have gone for it. They're 2 away from the Rage Fist, and we managed to take that game. Can we farm down the Fearow? Yes, we can. Oh, man, that shit had me sweating. I hate Belly Bolt. Clearly, that's where I wanted to see it. My backline would not have wanted to contend with BBL Elibolt. But we do manage to climb to the 2300s, and we're on our way to Veteran. Definitely give this team a shot. It was so much fun to play. You can try triple shadows, but I really do think that Venusaur benefits from being a non-shadow. And I'm going to see what other teams I can cook up from my favorites list in order to try and climb to Legend. There's one Mon I have that I want to try, but she's not ready. But until then, I'll catch you in that next video. Peace.